Hello and welcome to Tabletop 24. I'm Alan.
I'm John.
I'm Brian.
And welcome to another episode of We'll Play Again, where we take a look at games that we've recently got to the table, with a view of how quick we can get them back to the table, and we answer the question of, would we play again? Today we have Dungeon Draft from Upper Deck Games. Dungeon Draft is pretty much, as it says on the tin, we will be drafting cards from the dungeon in 4 rounds, passing left and right, to build up our tableau of heroes or weapons or items which come in a variety of different classes. At the end of each draft round, we will then have to buy the cards at the cost on the top left of the card, and they will give us either a strength value to defeat some monsters that will be in the draft deck, or give us in-game scoring, or give us gold production, which we get at the end of every round. Alternatively, they may have text on them, which will enable us to do certain actions in the game as it goes. At the start of the game, we will have been given quests. These quests will require a certain number of a specific class in order to accomplish them. Once you accomplish them, you flip them over. You will then be getting the victory points at the end of the game, and you will be getting the benefit of either production or an ability or strength that these provides as you go through. Certain cards will have specific criteria, such as the heir to the throne. For instance, if I control both the royal scepter and the royal ring, I will gain 10 experience. So it's quite a nice one if I see those cards coming through.
Yeah.
So it is a sort of out-the-box, one-and-done game. There is everything that's in there. Like I said, we go through 4 rounds, and then the person with the most victory points at the end of it wins.
There's a lovely balance to this game whenever we play it. I find balancing what you're giving to people in the draft and receiving back and in order to complete your quests, and what you're doing within your hand to keep to defeat monsters or to get your quests out, or to the production for money to enable you to buy the cards to play next time. It all works really. It's been play tested to death. I mean, it just works really well as a game, as a system, as an engine to complete the game. It's just a lovely playing game, I feel.
Yeah, you can tell there's I think an equal number of each class. There's certain multiple copies of some cards, and you get that balance that comes through there, and the fact that it is that closed system.
You're never going to burn through all of these in one game, even with 4 players. So you're never going to see all the cards. But that said, you play a couple of games, you're going to see all of the cards, and you're going to know what you're going to get. Quite
a few similar cards, not repeat cards, isn't there? So duplicate cards, essentially. So you are, from that sense, it is a you're going to see the same sort of cards regularly again. The artwork is so consistent. It's slightly jokey, if you like. It's not to take itself too seriously, but it's still pretty good, and it gets something across.
I mean, it's 2017, and you could argue that maybe the graphic design is a little bit dated now. If you look at other games that have drafting elements in them, Clank and other things, I think it looks aged. I think it's probably ripe for a new version, ripe for an expansion, and definitely need it once you're going through all the cards. But there's nothing wrong with it at all.
No. I mean, there is the fact there that there is a very strong dungeon theme.
It is.
It's in the name. It's all throughout.
It's very much sort of role-playing game, sort of Dungeons and Dragons kind of theme, fantasy.
Which a reskin might work really well.
You could do it in space. You could do it in mob gangsters.
Yeah, you could do anything with it. I don't think the theme particularly is tacked on, isn't it? It's just in the artwork.
Yeah. But the thing is, you could do a space theme. You couldn't do a shopping theme because you're not going to defeat monsters or stuff when you go shopping, are you? So, rush to lakes on a Saturday afternoon.
It's there's loads of ways of getting points. Basically, you're building sets together. You're trying to get the quests out, and there's a little bit of checking what other people are doing to make sure that during the drafting phase, you're not giving them the juicy monsters to kill if they've got lots of fighting. So in that sense,
you can hate draft a lot to stop people getting their stuff, but again, it has to benefit you because you'll be hate drafting to the detriment of your hand and your scoring points.
Yeah. And the drafting element, of course, is trying to build your own hand up, and you see two good cards in your hand, you may not see one of them again.
Yeah.
So that's part of the game.
Yeah, and it's you are watching some of what everybody else is doing, but to a degree, sometimes you get a better result if you just play your game.
Yeah. It's all about the combos for me. When you're playing this game, you need to build up the combinations of things to give you more points, to defeat things, to get more bits, to play more cards, to get more money for the next round, to give you the points.
So, and in that sense, after a couple of few rounds, your table space tends to sprawl out a little bit. You can get like class of cards here to get your things, and you've got to keep an eye on what you've got, so that when you are playing your cards, there's a lot of keeping one in your head as well, reading what you've got, and you can miss things if you're not careful. So it does kind of sprawl a bit. It's got a small game, a small box, which is nice, but you do need a bit of space around you to lay your cards out so you can see them.
Yeah, and rounds are split in between a draft phase and a play phase. So you'll be drafting everything, and then you play everything you've drafted that round. So yeah, it's pretty static where it's going, but you don't necessarily know what's coming round. You don't know what the players have got until they start playing, and then you play in player order because it can affect other people as what they're potentially cards off the top of the deck and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you've got overeager players or people who are not playing very quickly, you can quickly lose track of how many cards are going around to the next person.
Oh yeah,
and stacks of cards are building up for people to deal with before handing on.
Yeah, draft every.
It's pretty common with drafting game, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common sense, really.
Yeah.
But
everybody ready to move on? Move on.
But he does play pretty fast for all of that. But you tend to get an idea what you need, and
yeah,
you can plan ahead. So.
Yeah, I think the only thing that slows this down is the play phase, because the draft itself, you're drafting 7 cards, you're going left or right. That's fairly easy. You've got a little bit of thinking about what you're doing.
There is, and the order you play the cards can be important. You know, you've got to play your fighting cards first, then your monster cards, for example.
Yeah.
You
And it can be very easy. You build up in your head, right, I'm going to do this, and then by the time it comes to your hand, your turn's like, I forgot what I was going to do. And then you're trying to rediscover. So, yeah.
And that's where people can think of what they're trying to do and slow it down a bit.
Yeah, so just sort of maybe a little bit more simultaneous play in there would do really nicely. But I think the game plays in under an hour normally with 4 or 5 players.
Oh, much less than an hour, I'd say.
Yeah, so you often find playing games back to back.
Yeah,
because it's just let's go again, and that's nice.
Yeah, experienced drafters would play this very quickly. I'd imagine 4 players, you get it in under a half hour.
Yeah,
quite easily.
End of the night, definite little killer filler game that you're just sitting just to. Or if you're waiting for people to come to the group again, it's one that comes to the table very easily.
Yeah, and I imagine actually that's a really good point, because it's one of those games that I think people don't get invested in enough that they could quite easily play it before people turned up, and then if they were halfway through, actually decide to can it off.
Yeah.
And you've got a benefit from it.
A small box of gold in my bag.
Half a game?
What? Yeah. But no, it does happen, doesn't it? If you've got somebody that's running half an hour late and they happen to turn up 20 minutes, and what you're playing is going to be a much bigger game, some would say you just chat for 20 minutes, but other people might want to play a game.
Make them wait.
Yeah. So I think one of the things this game does suffer immensely from is strategies. So it's a finite deck, as we've said. It's a closed system. There's no expansions. If you play this enough, you can learn what cards are going to benefit you. So whilst I picked up this quest, we just dealt 3 randoms for the purposes of the explanation. You get 5 cards and you choose 3. I wouldn't choose this. I believe there's only 2 copies of each card in the whole deck. So for me to actually get 13 points off of that, which is quite a lot of points, I'd need to find 2 of 4 cards in probably 2.
You'd have to see it in your hand at the beginning, and that to think, okay, it's worth doing now, because I've got at least one I can hold on to.
Yeah. And so you've got that, and the other strategy, and Brian's got one of these, is the leagues. The League of Phoenix. They're just exponential points. And to Brian's point about watching people play, if I play off 3 leagues, then you're really going to suffer. But at the same time, you may not have realised that 3 leagues have ended up coming my direction in one round. And you end up really stacking points off the back of them. Or you could go monster heavy. So if you know roughly what you've seen in the first round, you can build a strategy to. I mean, it's a very light game in that sense, but if you wanted to really get competitive in this and really start to target things, you know what's going to synergize. You know early doors if you get a specific card, what type of game you're going to have. So I think it does suffer a little bit from that because you could find yourself with somebody that is really good at the game. Bringing in a new player might not be the best thing for it.
I think the first time I played this, it worked out. I just went monster heavy, and I was just battering through dragons and loads of monsters and just racking up the points that way. But then the second game, it was completely different. And you know, one game does differ a lot from the other, but you're right, those strategies you learn quite quickly. The Order of the Phoenix or another strategy just to rack those points up.
There's a lot in the game. There's a lot of different cards. There's a lot of luck with what cards you're going to get, but you can start to craft something. And you can value cards more than anything else. So if you take a TCG, Magic or Flesh and Blood, there is value to the cards in the pack that you are being passed. That is very true here. There are value in the cards that you are being passed, and you will value certain cards over others. But the luck of it is that maybe you don't get a good first hand or good first pick.
Or you've got somebody who's going for the same strategy sitting to the other side of you who's just skimming those cards.
Taking the cards before you can get to them.
Yeah, which is great because that's what essentially what a draft is.
Yeah.
And for that, it replicates TCG drafts for me.
Yeah, and you know, thinking about other games with drafts, Susugo's Party or Seven Wonders, you need to adjust as those cards are coming your way. And I think that's just the beauty and part of that meta of those drafting games, that you need to be able to do that and think on your feet and not just be stuck in one rut.
Yeah. So with all that said, John, would you play again?
I'd play again. I've got no problem with this game. It's a great little filler. It ticks all the boxes if you just want to sit there and quickly go through something. So yeah, not a problem. We'll play again.
I'm saying would play again. It is a nice filler. It stands alone for an hour or so. After which I'm thinking, okay, I've done this one now. Let's play something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice game to bring out every so often.
Yeah, and same for me. 3 across the board again. So I would play again. I think it is a really nice draft. It emulates that TCG draft for me. There's an engine builder in there, so it ticks that box for me. And yeah, you can get shafted a little bit with the luck on there, as you can with a lot of games that have a lot of cards in. It's not a Euro, and you've got to know that going in. So it's nice. We'll play it again. Happy to have it in the collection, and I don't think it would leave the collection. I think it wouldn't be one that will stay on the shelf.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I think there's other games that you could interchange this with if you've got them, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching this episode of We'll Play Again. If you haven't done so already, check out our other videos on the channel. Give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.